Okay, we have started recording. All right, about 50 attendees here. So, and it's 5 minutes, we are 6 minutes in. So let's get started. Rohan from Gurgaon, I like your emoji, man. All right, so let's get started. Thank you for joining our last Pune Tableau user group event. It's the last one for 2020. We're just doing this before Christmas, and I know you all would have a lot to catch up and cover up before holidays start. So I think it really means a lot that you all have chosen to spend this time here, and you all want to learn. And I also hope in the future you guys, one of you all or two of you all, like Poonam and Komal, will want to contribute. And both, I mean, all three of us, Poonam, Komal, and myself would look forward to learning something or the other from what you all have experienced. One of the primary reasons we have this community, right? And I think the Tableau community is very, very vibrant. And one reason we really do this is you cannot learn everything in a 2-day, 3-day workshop. You cannot learn everything on a single job, right? There's so much you can learn from everyone's experiences, and we all have our own um, understanding of a product or a feature. And when we look at it from somebody else's perspective, it really broadens our own knowledge and horizon. So today we are going to learn from two really powerful women, right? I think there's this website that's also dedicated to data plus women, and very rightly so, I think, right? Women anyways have a larger storage capacity, and their access to real good events in life is really swift compared to men. So it just makes sense that they are a powerful force to reckon with when it comes to data. And today we are focused on learning from how they utilize their skills, and how they have. So Poonam will focus mostly on optimizing performance of dashboards, and Komal will help us fall in love with bar charts, I assume, right? So I'll not take too much time. I'll hand it over to Poonam. Have a great time. Please, if you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A box. One of us from the panel will actually keep reviewing them. If possible, we'll answer them right away, or if not, we'll answer them just after Poonam's session. Right, Poonam, over to you. Good luck, and I hope all of you all enjoy the session.
Yep. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you for introduction, and thank you. Very good afternoon to everybody. Um, so let me quickly share my screen. Okay. Can anyone just confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Perfect. So, hi everyone. I am Poonam Savaliya, and I would be walking you through performance tuning in Tableau. So, like, I will quickly go to about my experience and who am I. So, hi everyone. My name is Poonam Savaliya, and I work in General Mills as a senior analyst. I live in Mumbai, which is in India, and I have a total of 7 years of experience in BI domain, and mostly relevant to Tableau is like 5 plus, and another years of experience where exploring few of more BI tools like Talent, SQLs, Informatica, and all. So yeah, that's about me. And here you would be seeing my hobbies. A part of me when I'm not doing quizzes, I have few fun activities. Like I try like to travel to beach places and explore water activities like kayaking, deep diving into the sea, and few more. So Yeah, that's me. And a part of me when like I have explored myself more during this lockdown is when I started craving more of an hotel foods. So this is me exploring more of the food, and I have explored more of my cooking skills during this lockdown. So yeah, that's about me. So now, let's quickly dive into today's agenda. So, today I would be focusing on performance tuning in Tableau. And I hope, when I say performance tuning, I expect most of the audience to have a very basic knowledge of Tableau, like they have explored few features of Tableau. And if not, uh, I will go with the basic. Once I'm done, please explore more of those options and try to implement those things into your dashboard, and you can, I hope you see a relevant result what I am seeing in my career. Okay, let's quickly start. One and the most important topic of performance tuning I would like to start with is the custom SQL. So whenever anyone or anybody comes to me and tell me like, can you look into my dashboard why it is quite slow, and what is the cause of it to be too much slow? So I would first go and see whether the dashboard or report is using custom SQL or not. That is a major focus or major part of improvement with respect to performance. So if you see, you can, wherever there is a scope, try to reduce the custom SQL and make use of the relevant joining tables. So for example, here in the below screenshot, I have pasted one custom SQL which was used as a custom SQL in the connection. And what I found was that this query can be implemented through joinings. And there are, if you see, there are few aggregations which were unnecessarily returned. These aggregations can be implemented at the Tableau end. So there was this sum of sales which was done, sum of profit which was done at the query level. And then on top of that, there was this group by clause and there was this where clause which was written. So when you try to remove this, you can bring those relevant tables into the joining conditions and try to join them. And wherever those where clause are there, use them as a filters and use them as an extract filter to limit your data. So this is the first and the most important thing you should first consider when you are seeing that the report is not working fine. There is no use of creating a huge report and it takes a lot of time. So even I don't like to wait. If anybody or any one of you are going into any sites or just considered as a shopping site or anything, you are seeing that the page is loading for 1 minute, then you would get frustrated and you don't want to see it anymore. So the same goes with the Tableau report. Like your audience would be not much feasible enough to wait till 1 or 2 minutes to see just what the data is being populated. So it's better to tune it. So this is the first step I will say. Go ahead and check whether your dashboard is using custom SQL or not. If it is using, make sure you get rid of it wherever it's possible. Also, look at the query. If like when you are seeing the custom SQL, make sure that you see that there is not unwanted clauses which are written, such as group by clause and so on. Remove any aggregation clause which are there in the queries, like doing submissions, doing aggregations, or any aggregations like mean, max, sum, and so on. So that can be handled at the Tableau end. Just make sure either you get rid of custom SQL and make use of the table, or go ahead and connect with your database team and make sure that you ask them if this is the thing that you can massage it at the table database side and give you the uh, completely new set of table which you can use at the Tableau side. So this is the first T. Now let's go to the second one. So this is with respect to the data design. So once I see that the custom, I check for the custom SQL if that is giving me the desired result. If I see that there is no custom SQL used in the Tableau, the next thing I go and check is data design. So the first important thing is that once I see that my report is not using custom SQL, I go ahead and check whether the report is using any blending joins or not, like blending things or not. So another great way to decrease your uh, time is to avoid any blending which is being used. So you can make an alternate approach of blending. You can go ahead and use cross database join, which is like introduced in the newer version. It's like introduced, I guess, 2 years back. So you can always go ahead and check for the cross database join. So if anybody who doesn't know what cross database join is, like I will just quickly go ahead and show you where you can see and how you can use a cross database join. Hmm, okay, so here is my connection. I'm just going to edit data source. I have already added two connection over here. So if you see, one is pulling the data from my sales superstore. So I'm joining this thing, and another way is to just go ahead and add your connection. It can be your HANA, Oracle, MySQL, and so on. So you can add your another database join. So for example, one is coming from Excel and another one is coming from HANA, or it might come from SQL, or it might come from Postgres. So any database to whom you want to connect, just add it over here, and you can see your other database is getting added to here, and you just go ahead and select it and just drag the table over here. So you will see that table is getting normally joined over here rather than doing blending. So thing over here is, this says that it is my primary table, and this is the secondary table. So this says that blue and orange indicate that this is a cross database join. Okay, so make sure you use cross database join wherever possible and avoid blending. Okay, next thing I would like to tell you is your limit your data at initial level. So don't pull your data like whole set of data. For example, I have a data, I have a table which contain a historical data. It's like a data of 5 or 6 years, and I don't want to do a visualization on top of 5 or 6 years. I just want to do a visualization on 1 year data, like the recent year data. So why I should pull all the data? It's just better to limit your data at initial level. Just exclude your data, just add the filters at the extract level. That will make sure that you are not pulling the entire data into the Tableau data engine. So what I mean is that initial level of data is like, okay, so we do have a two type of connection. One is live and another one is extract. So when I say limit your data, is first and most important part to filter your data is to have an extract filter. So if you are using an extract version of a data, you will see an extract filter option. But if it is a live, you won't see this option, extract filter option. Extract filter option is available when you are connecting to an extract version. So just go ahead here, click and edit, and these are the few filters which I have applied at the extract level. So I'm initially um, like excluding the data, not bringing all the data. So this way, what you can do is you can send the data from your database to the Tableau engine. Only this much set of data is being sent, not your entire data set is being sent. So it will initially filter your data. Not all the data will pull into the Tableau engine. Okay. Next one is publish the data source to the server. Make sure you publish the data to your server. That will also, it, you won't see much performance boosting by this part, but a very minor change in the seconds would always make a huge difference. So it's better to publish the data to the server. By this way, what you are doing is you are enabling your data to be used by the wide audience. So once you publish the data, that can be leveraged to n number of your worksheets or report, and it can be used by other developers also. And what if you are embedding the data into the data sources, like it's just specific to that particular worksheet or report, it won't be used by other dashboards. So you have to manually go ahead and refresh those dashboard instead of just refreshing the connection. So better option would be to publish the data to the server. By this way you would avoid the redundancy. So if for example I want this, I have built one connection, and that connection was used by the other sheet also, but that person doesn't know that this connection has already exist in the server because it was embedded in my workbook. So in that case, what if I have already published those data source and other person would have taken leverage the data set in their workbook rather than creating a complete new set of connection again. So by this way, you are avoiding the redundancy. Also make use of extract instead of live connection. So when I see extract is, let me go to the connection part again. So whenever it's possible to make use of extract, just make use of extract instead of live, because what does live do is it every time hit your database. Whenever there is any changes, it hit the database and again retrieve the live data. What does extract do is the only subset of data or the data which is being extracted at that particular moment is been captured and stored into your Tableau data engine. So whenever you just refresh or schedule or connection, that time those extract get scheduled. It won't hit your database again and again. So make sure how your requirement are. Whenever it's needed to have live connection, and you can't go for an extract, go for the live connection, but make your decision very wisely. Just ask your stakeholder or business, is there any need we have to go for a live, or can't we make it as an extract and schedule it for a particular uh, time? Like if your data is refreshing once in a day, then why go for a live? Just take an extract once your database gets refreshed, refresh your extract after that, like at a particular movement. So that was the that also will boost your performance with respect to lot of time. Next is your hide all unused fill. So this is like many of time people just ignore this option, hide all unused fill, but even this can make a huge difference in your performance. So what if, like why you should just reiterate all your data if your field is never used in your viz. So hide all unused field will make sure that those fields are not considered while any retrieving or any query has been fetched to your database. So it will also make lesser columns for the Tableau to reiterate. So it's best practice to always hide all the unused fields which are there in the um, which are not used in the dashboard. So there is a like you can go ahead and check with this small arrow option. Like there are n number of options to hide all unused field. One is at the data source level also. So you have this checkbox available, show all hidden field. So you can just see whatever fields are being hidden at your database level, or you can just go ahead and choose each field which you don't want and hide it. Okay, since this order id is already been used in my report, it won't allow me to hide. Or the best way which I prefer is I create my whole report, and then I just go to this small arrow and I just say hide all unused field. This is the best way I prefer. Like once I create all my viz and everything is done, at the end of my report, I just go ahead and check this hide all unused field option, and then it will just hide all the fields which are never used in my dashboard. And if you want to just quickly see what all fields you have hide, you can just you can always go for this option of show hidden field. So all those fields which are hidden will be seen in this disable option. So you have to, if anytime you want this field to be like added into the viz again, just right click and just go for unhide option. By this way you will get your field back, and that's how you just boost the performance of the report too. Okay, that was with respect to data design. Next come as your filters. Filters play very crucial role in performance of Tableau report. So whenever we go for any report building, we see that filters are playing very important role. Filters are the uh, causes of decreasing the performance or taking more time. I have seen in my like career that there are many reports which are using n number of filters, like 20 filters, 10 filters, which are like of no use. Like if we can get rid of that many filter to a lesser number, then it's always a better option for your dashboard. So what I will suggest is make minimum use of quick filters. Don't go with the name quick filter, they are never quick. It's like they they do the performance at the end. Like quick filters are the one which are being performed at the end of your filtering clause. So they are the most worst filters which are applied to your dashboard. So I always recommend use ideally 5 filters, don't go beyond 5. So what are the alternate approach, you would ask, that if for example, what if I only go for a 5 filters but I want few more functionalities, like I want few other things that needs to be filtered out. So try to make use of action filter instead of. So before like diving into the filters, action filters and quick filters, let me just quickly show you the um, step on how which filters are performed. So let me quickly go to the data source. Now I do have this option. So the first and the most important part of like the first filter which happens to your data or to the extract or any Tableau connection is your extract filter. This is the first filters which will boost your performance, and this is the number one that you should apply. So if you have a data set with lot of data, and you, for example, where I have told that you have a historical table and you don't want all the data to be flowing in, just limit that data over and in the extract data set. Add your field. For example, now I can say that I need a region, and I need region. I just want to see the Western data only. Like I am a segment or any segment lead, and we just want the data of regional level. So I can just go ahead and I can add an extract filter. So what it will do is the data which is flowing from my database into the Tableau engine, this is the filter which will restrict my data to get into the Tableau engine. Okay, so this is the first filter option you should opt for. Next is the data source filter. Once you move into the database, you have this option of data source filter. You can go ahead and add the data source filter. So data source filter is the filters which is applied after the your extract filter. So once your data is being pulled into the Tableau engine, and I don't want few data to be flowing into my particular report, then I can just go ahead and add a data source filter. And data source filters are also applicable to live connection. So if in case you are using a live connection and you want to restrict your data and you don't have an option of extract filter, go and add data source filter where you are using a live. You would be seeing this data source filter in both the option. Next come is like once this both filters are applied, then comes your report. You have built all your report, and the other filters which gets applied is on your report level. So the third filter which I would suggest is your context filter. So I have a data of all the segments, and I have my data which is being looked at the segment level. All the different segment leads come and they see a data of their particular segment. Then I can just add that segment to the context filter. So it is this third filter which I should apply while seeing the performance. But make sure that you use the context filter very wisely, because it will create a temporary table, and all the other filters like all your quick filters and measure filters will run on top of your context filter. So for example, if I am selecting my region as a west, so there will be a table created at the Tableau end in the Tableau engine, a temporary table which will have a data of region, and all my category subcategory filters will apply to that particular region. So this is how context filter will work. So if you are adding too many context filter, there will be too many temporary table. So please make use of context filter very wisely, and make sure you use context filter if there is a huge um, decrease or huge redundancy in the record. So for example, if there is I'm making a context filter to use and I'm just filtering out few records, so it doesn't make sense to use a context filter. Make sure if there is a huge decrease in the record, then only you should opt for a context filter. Okay, and the next after context filter goes your action filter. So make sure you use the action filters to all the fields which are available in the Wiz. So for example, I want the filters to be applied so in this case, here is my region filter, and I want that this filter to be applied to all the sheet. So I already have a region pulled over here in my map. So this is already being pulled. So why can't you make use of action filters? So once I click this, all my chart would be filtered for that particular region or that particular country. So whenever there is a opportunity that you already have your field in the visualization itself, make use of that field as an action filter instead of quick filter, because that is already being rendered to the visualization, so it won't create your query again. And the last filter, which I would prefer, like at the bottom, like at the end, would be your quick filter. So that is the last option we should opt for. And while making use of quick filter, there are few tips which I should give, and I usually follow in my day-to-day practices and all the dashboard which I prepare. So over here, if you see that filters are multi-select filters, and it doesn't have the option of apply button. So what happened is that whenever I want to select deselect everything and I just want my subcategory to have art and binder, then what I have to do is I just have to deselect everything. Then what does it do? It just remove all the data. Then I will click art. So what you are seeing, my query is being rendering and it is giving me the record of art. And once I select binder, it will again re-render it will send the query to the backend and it will pull the binder records. So this is not what I'm expecting. So here is a very quick tip which I follow. Just use this option when you are doing multi-value drop-down option. There is this apply button which is there in the customize option. Just apply this, then you will see this two tiny littles button, that is apply and cancel. So what you can do is you can select all the filters you want and then apply, and after once you apply this button, then only your whole dashboard will send the query to all the values which you have selected. So this is very um, minor tip, but it um, create a huge difference, because the way you send the records to the backend is how the performance will also get tuned. So just make sure you don't use multi value select directly. Always make sure to use this customize apply button option whenever you are using multi select option. Also, one another thing is there is this option of only relevant value. So if I what does this thing do is that it will always retry. For example, I have this, I want to select the data of west region. So what this okay, since I have just excluded that table, that was the reason this customer name was not having the value. So by this way is like if I will come back to this thing later, but let me just quickly tell you about this irrelevant value. So whenever I go to the region as west, what will my retrieve option will do is relevant value will do is it will always go to the backend and it will uh, fetch all the relevant values which are only specific to the west region. So what it will do is at the backend it will run the query and it will see is it will try and retrieve from each records what all value would be relevant to my west region. So by this way your processing time will be increasing. So this is also not a good option. Whenever possible, try not to use only relevant option. Instead make use of hierarchy filters. So for example, over here, let me just select everything. Okay. So if you see, this is my hierarchical filters. Hierarchy in Tableau is just created by dragging one field on top of the other. So let me just quickly show you. I have already created the hierarchy filters of the product, which contains category, subcategory, and product name into it. So this is my hierarchy filters, which I have applied to the report. Now what it will act is like, it will act similar to the way relevant filters work. So right now, every values of all the categories are being populated. Now let me just quickly go ahead and change category from all to office supply. So now what you will see is only values which are relevant to my office supply will be populated. And I have not selected only relevant value in this. It is the option of all values in hierarchy. So this is the alternate approach for only relevant values if you want to populate in your filters. Okay. And lastly, about the filter is like whenever you are using measure filter, make sure not to use a discrete value. Instead, make use of a range filter. So when you are opting for all the values in the database, it's like all the dates will be populated. So it will go and click all the dates and it will populate it in one, like in a drop down menu, or it's like all the records will be fetched and it will be pulled into your date filter. Instead, go for the range filters whenever you are using measure value. Okay. So that was all about filters. Okay, let me quickly go to the calculation. I have too many things to complete. Okay. Next come is your calculation part. So calculation also play very vital role while doing the performance tuning in Tableau. I have seen that fields are not written in an appropriate way, like the calculation which you write is not written in an appropriate way, and that will lead to a degradation in your time. So first and most important thing while I look into the calculation part is that I always opt the calculation, like always limit my calculation to an another level. So limit your nested calculation. Don't go too many nested calculation. You create one calculated field and you call that calculated field into another, and that calculated field is also again called into the another calculated field. Don't go for that. What it will do is each and every time you call that calculated field nested calculation, it will do an inner join and inner join. So your query gets loaded too many, like it do an inner join and inner join and so on. So it's get nested. So limit your calculation. If your calculation is not used in another fields, just write your whole calculation in one calculated field. Next is your make use of else if instead of nested if condition. I have seen many times that this is the thing which is being used, and this create a whole lot of huge impact. Okay. Okay. So here is what I mean. A simple space in else if will create a complete nested if clause. So what I'm doing over here is I've created a calculated field which is saying that if my region is south and my segment is corporate, send it to the south, sorry, south corporate. If my region is south, segment is consumer, then move it to south consumer. But look at this if else if clause. There is this space, and this space is creating completely different statement while it throws to the backend query. When it Tableau throws the query to the backend, it will create a nested if clause, and that's the reason you see I have used too many end. I have ended this if, I have ended this if, I have ended this if. So instead of this, make use of else if condition, which is there. So look at this. When I make use of else if, look, Tableau is throwing me an error. There are too many ended clause which are being applied. So only one end would work. So by this way, you can wisely make proper use of calculated like logic which are already available. Don't go for the nested logic. Try to um, write your calculation very wisely and make sure that it doesn't throw more query to the backend. Okay. Next is your data type. Even data type have play very vital role in performance tuning. What I have seen is like boolean and numbers are way much faster than your string calculations. So whenever possible you are writing something which is possible with boolean or a numerical value, don't go for the string values. So let me just quickly show the example of this. Okay, so I have already created one calculation which says if my sum of sales is greater than 7 lakh, then green as red. So I am just seeing what all my profit region or what all my profit making part would be. So I have just limited my data to a few sales. Like if my sales is greater than 7 lakh, then I am going good. Else I'm not going to good. So let me just pull this thing over here. So right now it is giving me a, if you see, it's giving me a string value. So here you see it's giving me ABC. What if I don't write this statement in this way and I just say when my sales is greater than 7 lakh, then give me 1, else 0. So did you see it just went to integer part? Or you can just say true or false. So it's the Boolean character now. So just make sure you write your calculation very wisely. This will affect the calculation or it will make a huge impact. Okay. So even this can be rewritten in a different way with a similar approach. What if I don't, okay, let me just create a duplicate field. I don't want to write if clause. I just say I want this field which says if my sum of sales is greater than 7 lakh, just throw this thing. Does it make, does it give the similar result? Oh yes, it do. See, it's giving me true false value. I haven't used if clause also. It's just a plain sum and I'm just doing a conditions. I'm just checking for a condition. Tableau is smart enough to tell you that it's true and false. So I'm not using a if clause also. So wherever possible, make use of calculation very wisely. So this would be much faster than your this statement where I'm going and manually writing if and else clause. Okay. So always make sure that you use your data type very wisely, and similarly goes with your parameters. So I have seen like um, where I have come across all many reports where many parameters are being used, and what all the parameters have one thing common is that they have a string values. So what I have did is I have gone and made the changes to the parameters, and instead of string value, Tableau have this functionality of parameter where it says display as. So what if I go ahead and change this thing from string to integer, and instead of year, I just say 1, and in display as I will give it as year. So by this way, I'm making use of integer, and at the same time my purpose is being fulfilled. My display as value is still showing me the string value. So you should go for the integer values while using parameters. So instead of string, I'm going ahead and just moving those things to the integer value. So by this way, it's very minor, but each second will improve your performance. So that was all with the parameters. Next is your blending calculation. If in case there is a situation where you have used a blended calculation, make sure you avoid all the calculations which are using blended fields. So even that will take longer time. Make use of LODs and table calculation very wisely. Just check wherever it is needed, only use LODs, instead make use of calculated fields or table calculations. A few things which can be achieved from table calculation, go ahead and try with table calculation instead of LODs. Next is your rendering part. So okay, I have done all this thing. I have did custom SQL. I have did a performance tuning from the database side. What it then too I see a performance degradation, and I see a tab where it says that there is this layout which is rendering, which is taking a lot of time. So when it says that it is rendering part, you should make sure that your marks card are being used very wisely. So I have like came across where I have seen that many of the marks, like for example, I am just showing here as my tooltip with segment which says profit and sales, but I have came across in a scenario where all this thing, like I have seen that order dates or ship mode or any other things which are there in the mark cards, but which are never used. So all those things which are there in the mark cards which are not being used, just make sure you remove it. So here I have seen like things like that. There are many things which are added to the tooltip, but tooltip is never populating the value. So I see this order dates and everything and so many things which is being pulled into the mark card, but it is never being shown to the visualization. So why you are using all those fields, make sure you just avoid all those fields which are not being used. And even same applies to the filters. You see many filters which are unnecessary applied and which is never being bring to the dashboard. Just remove those filters, so that will increase the performance of your report to a great extent. So since Tableau is your visualization tool, I would always prefer to make use of text table very less whenever it is like needed. In the case where it is not avoidable, then only use it. But if it is avoidable and you can just create a visualizations or any other graph from it, then just remove it and create an graphs and all and showcase it. But make use of text table very less. And if it is not, like if it is a case where you can't just go ahead and remove it, then there is this quick alternate approach which you can follow. You can just always show your text table with your action filters. Don't show all the datas in your text table. So in this example, if you see, I have one text table which is populating, but I have just showcased those text table based on my action filter. Whenever um, I want to see my details of technology, I will go ahead and click on it, and that time my this text table will populate. Otherwise, I don't need all those viewers who doesn't care of this text table wouldn't see this text table. So make use of this action filters. And even with the latest Tableau 2019, like after 2019, we do have this functionality of hide show container. uh, and you can just add your text table or anything which is not relevant to all the user, and you just need it to be on a specific purpose to be populated. So you can just explore your show hide functionalities in Tableau. Just it will give you a container which will tell you to maximize. So I'll quickly show you that thing. I'm not dropping anything over here, I'm just showing it. So did you see this small cross button which has appeared? So it says that whatever content is over here, once I cross it, it will just disappear, and once I click it, it will again show it. So look, I have just pasted this practice sheet, and once I don't want this to be populated to all user, and it should be based on like if I need this for a specific purpose, I can add it to the show hide container. So only those relevant stakeholders or those user who specifically need those images or those table, they can go ahead and check on those things from here. Rest, it won't render, like it won't show when all your content of the Tableau is being pulled. So it will only pull the query when you are just hitting this, you are clicking it. So alternate would be that. Last but not the least, always make sure you limit your number of sheets. That's the main mantra to reduce your performance. I won't say that your dashboard should go beyond 10 sheets. Even 10 is more, but I know that in day to day life, we won't see the dashboard which is like just using one or two sheets. So just limit your sheet to minimum level. If it is too huge, split your dashboard into multiple dashboard and then publish. So by this way, each dashboard can be published and minimum sheet would be used. Last is your use fixed dashboard size instead of automatic option. You have this automatic option in your layout container. So make use of this very wisely whenever possible, where you are not sure that how your user would be seeing it, then only go for it. Otherwise, go for the fixed option, which is like way much better. So that's all from my end. Thank you. You can always connect me in the LinkedIn, or you can connect me through the mail. I would be happy to help you. I hope every one of you now would have few tips which you can follow, and you can just decrease your performance. I thank you all. I hand over it to Komal now.
Thank you, Poonam. That was really great. Even I learned a lot of things there, and especially the hierarchical filter. A great tip, I would say.
Thank
Yes. So
you.
I think there are a few questions. Maybe while I'm taking the session, you could answer those. And if
Sure.
there are any that we want to answer live, we could take that after my session.
Sure.
Okay, great. Just start sharing my screen. Let me know once it's visible.
Yes, Komal, it's visible.
Great. Thank you. So hello all. This is Komal here. I'm going to talk a lot around data, storytelling, and how do we get all of these things together in a beautiful and insightful way. So I've been into this field since 4+ years now, working a lot around visualization and analytics. I have major expertise in retail, media, and customer analytics. I'm basically a storyteller, and I also love to click a lot of pictures, and that's how my professional and personal life is. I'm from Mumbai, and I love traveling a lot. Okay. Yeah. So, apart from my office work, my corporate work, I've been building a lot of dashboards, very much active on the Make or Monday data sets, trying out different data sets, playing around different analysis using some sample data sets. I enjoy doing that. I love playing around different designs of the dashboard, experimenting with colors. How do we make the best use of colors, and how we could get the attention of user using different pre-attentive attributes. So that's about me and Tableau, working on Tableau since 4 years now. In my life, I do a lot of traveling. I'm a great fan of exploring unexplored places, visiting new places, traveling around, trekking. That is what I do during the weekends. So that was my story. Today I'm going to tell you a life story of data visualization. So just imagine if data visualization was a person, what would its life story be, and how it has, evolved over the years. So why story is important? So most of us are from the data science field, mostly into data analytics, data science, machine learning, and a lot of different stuffs. And as you can see here, we have Dexter and Dora. So Dora you can call as explorer, and Dexter is basically a data scientist. So all of these people have some things in common. That is everyday job that they do, right? So they play around data, they clean data, transform data, maybe create some models, test those models, operationalize all of that, do some analytics, analysis here and there. And the last piece of all of this is data visualization or communicating results. So when they communicate this results, it's always in mostly in the form of dashboards or maybe PowerPoint presentations, or sometimes it could just be a email with some insights, right? So end of all of this task is going to be showcasing what you have done or presenting it, right? That's why storytelling is very very important. And even when we are learning a lot about data, how do we handle data, it's also important we learn about data and stories, like how do we present the data in the best way, and how we could connect to the audience using these stories. And that's why it's not possible without a story. So there are these three V's. So these are different ways in which a story is delivered to the audience, right? So it could be verbal, vocal, or visual. Verbal is basically when you're reading a story from a book. Okay, basically you're just reading through it. Next is vocal, when you're hearing a story, maybe you're just listening to a podcast or something. And the last one is visual, where you're actually looking through the graphs, pictures, dashboards, so on and so forth. So even if you just imagine, when you're trying to read a book, you're trying to imagine those things in your head. So basically you're converting that text to pictures in your mind, and that's when the absorption rate increases, or that's when you remember remember those things more. And therefore you'll see that only 7% of absorption rate could be acquired if you're reading a book, and it goes on increasing as you go from vocal to visual. And that's why visual is the best way to go for any of your presentations, right? And we don't want to just send those long emails. Instead, how I could make them more interactive with some graphs and some insights. So that's how data visualization was. So data visualization is now a kit, and everyone liked it as a kit. And what the visual data visualization followed was a bottom to top approach. Okay, so there are different approaches in which a data visualization is created, or how do you approach a data visualization? Okay, so there are these two approaches. One is bottom to top, and the second one is top to bottom. So traditionally, for a long time, the organizations have been following bottom to top approach, or even you say when you are immature into this field, you might fall prey for a bottom to top approach. Now, what is bottom to top approach? As you can see, there are these different nodes of data. So when you start from bottom to top, at the bottom lies is your data. Okay, and then you go towards the business. That's how it happens. And just make it more clear. Sorry. Yeah. So you have the business on the top, or that is from where you'll be getting the business questions. Okay, so those are your priorities, and at the bottom you'll find the data, the answers, and everything. So in bottom to top approach, what happens is the business or the users look at all of the data that they have. They start cleaning that data sets, maybe pushing that to one data source, pushing that to data lake or something, right? Cleaning all of that data, restructuring it, and creating the right data source. And then once all of this is done, where they have spent almost a year or two on doing all of these activities, now they sit and think on what answers I could get from this data, or how do I use this data to benefit business. Okay, so this is not really efficient until when you're actually cleaning the data, you don't have any answers to the business, right? And the data keeps changing again. So it's always best to have top to bottom approach. That is the data visualization. As a kid realized it very later in the journey, and we'll see how it went on. Okay, so the first few years of this kid, maybe 3 to 4 years when he was born, it was just very normal. Okay, so it was just being a normal column bar chart. So that's where you'll see a column bar chart. This is when now I just want to show sales by states. So I've just dragged sales and states into my visualization, and I've just sorted it by descending order. I've done nothing here. This is the by default visual that Tableau would give me. Just the blue color and everything else, the scale and everything, right? So the only one thing I've done here is I've sorted by descending order. This is the pro tip I would say. Always when you're creating visualizations, make sure you sort them. Okay, either by ascending or descending depending on the requirements, because that becomes very easy to understand which is your highest point and the lowest point, instead of just looking through all of the bars and then trying to juggle through all of that. It's very easy to read in a particular order when you have this. Okay. So now what happened when I just created a column bar chart, I just showed the sales by state. Now that is not what the business wants, right? That is not your story, or that is not an insight. It is just the data which is lying there. So basically it was just a data from the table, and I've just created a bar chart out of it. So it's very important that you first understand what is story and what is insights. Okay, that's where you'll find out how do you get all that together, and you cannot just have a bar chart and say that this is the insights that I have. So now the data visualization has grown. Now its parents' expectations have grown, and now it has to adjust itself, right? It cannot stay the normal column bar chart it was. Now it needs to take care of the surroundings, the environment, its parent expectations. And so let's see what did it do. Okay, so first thing you'll have to do is you'll have to understand your audience, right? Your audience expectations, who is your end user is one thing that you need to take care of, and that's when you'll start presenting what is relevant. Okay, so your end user could be anyone, right? Maybe a director, maybe a brand manager, or a store manager. Now these three people are at very different levels in an organization. They might be even from different departments, right? And that decides what you show in your dashboard. You cannot go with one single dashboard for one data set and then say that people at all level or all departments just use this one single dashboard. Okay, so that is just going to push your audience. So first understand who your audience is, what they do on daily basis, right? So a director is someone who just wants to know the highlights of his business, what is up, what is down. He doesn't want to go into detail as to how every single product is working on. That could be the role of a store manager. Okay, and if for a store manager you're just giving the summary numbers, he is not interested in that. He wants to deep dive. So how you could have a dashboard which helps him deep dive into the needs that he has. Okay, so our bar chart understood the audience, what the audience needs, and that's how instead of a column bar chart, we came with a horizontal bar chart. Now you see the difference when you add a column bar chart. The readability was not that good. Okay, whenever you have more than 5 categories, it's always best to have a horizontal bar chart, because any user reads book or maybe dashboard for that matter is always read left to right and top to bottom. So this becomes very easy. I can see California, New York, and so on and so forth. Also, I could have a scroll if I have more than 5 to 6 categories, which is more easy to look at rather than a column bar chart. Always make sure that your visualizations are easy to fit in a place and are readable, right? So if user cannot read it properly, then the visualization doesn't make any sense. Also, main thing, always the visualizations are read left to right and top to bottom. So that's how you decide what is more important, right? That's why you'll always see the labels on the left. Maybe when you're just trying some fancy dashboards, you would start creating dashboards where you try to put the label on the right and you have the bars going toward the left. That couldn't be a good practice because, as I said, it's a human tendency to read left to right. So make sure of those things. Again, as the visualization grew, it had to make some sacrifices and it had to keep adapting a lot. So what did we do with the visualization? Here, you see decluttering is something which was needed to be done on the chart. We started with a simple column chart. We converted it into horizontal chart. Now you see is we are coming to a process where we started decluttering this visualization, right? So the cleaning is very important. Now you're if you look at the visual, you will not see the grid lines. So if it's a bar chart, it's like unnecessary to have grid lines, right? So I've just removed the grid lines. You won't see field labels. Now I know that these are states or maybe if I'm putting countries, then I don't need duplication of those labels which says that this is state, right? That is already called out in the title. Okay, so we have those. Now I'm showing the labels and I do not have access. So it's either the labels or the access. Don't keep both of them because that is too much information. So I've just kept the labels. Again, when we started, we had those huge long numbers. So how you could just round up those numbers maybe in keys or some higher values. Okay, and then you see a title. Okay, So when we started, the title was just like sales by states. So now, if you see sales by states, with you could have sales by states, and the other title I suggest is California has the highest sales. So this is another way of putting insight in the title itself, which also helps you deliver an insight and also helps you give a suitable title to your visual, where it talks about California sales, and it also talks about that we are talking about the state and its sales. Okay, and I've put some borders to the bar to make it look beautiful. Then now visualization entered into its teenage, and once you're in teenage, you have just had this urge to look more beautiful and presentable. Until now it was just the normal charts and just trying to understand the audience and all of those things. Now we need to make it more beautiful and presentable. So how do you make those dashboards presentable, right? So you need to understand the right colors. Colors play a very important role in your dashboard, right? So think of colors that you could use for the dashboard. Don't go beyond maybe 3 to 4 colors in your dashboard. Again, colors could go along with the logos that you have. Maybe if you see on the right is Amazon dashboard, and you see the logo. Logo had a yellow color smiley on it, right? The Amazon logo has yellow smile, and that's where I've took the color from. And therefore, in the dashboard, you'll see it's only white, yellow, and red. So only to show some warnings or things that didn't do well, that's where you'll see the red signs. Rest all is just white and yellow. On the left you see is a picture. So in this picture there's a lot of shades of red and orange. Okay, so even if I just point here and the next pixel I point towards the left, these would be two different colors with two different pixel values. So Tableau has this feature where you could pick up colors from screen, and that's where you could use pictures to pick up colors. So if you just minimize the picture, and if you also minimize your Tableau tab, you could just switch to the side tab and you could pick the colors from there. So you could be just using the colors from a picture for your dashboard. Next is right hues. So the dashboard that you see here, it's all in green. It's just the use of green, or what we call is the saturation of green from darker to the lighter shade. So the colors have been picked up from the left picture. You see a lot of greens and brown there. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't say, or it's not a good practice to use colors like red, green, and yellow for mostly for the dashboard themes, because those are colors which are more used as warnings, right? Red is something when you're trying to talk about something dangerous, maybe crimes or warning. That is the only time when you'll use a red. Okay, now in dashboard, the reason why I'm using green, because I'm talking about pesticides and it relates to plants. Okay, and that could be only one reason why I could choose a green color. Then comes themes. So where do you pick these themes from? When I say I want to have a green color for my dashboard, where do I get this idea from, right? Maybe if you're creating dashboards for some organizations or someone, right? Try to understand their logos. Just look at their logos, what colors they are using in their logo. Maybe just visit their websites. What colors they are using in website? What is the color for their main bar? What is the color for rest of the things, and how the things are aligned and all of those sorts. So if you look here, this Walmart logo with blue and a yellow, and if you look at the right, that is a website bar which also has a blue and a yellow. So basically I understand that Walmart would prefer shades of blue and yellow, maybe could be used for some warnings or the main thing that I want to highlight. If I'm creating a dashboard for DMart, I would go with green because that is their brand color. If it's Amazon, it's blue, yellow. Okay, so that is one where you could get the theme ideas from. Sometimes you are creating themes on dashboards which are not related to any organization or any company. So the best way there could be just go with classic blue, or maybe the gray shades. If you just open any random website, you'll always see they have this designs in gray and blues. So these colors go perfectly well for a screen. So try to use that. It also is very decent colors. Okay. So what did we do here is we changed the bar chart to a lollipop chart. Okay. And now I'm using a lot of pre-attentive attributes in this. So what are pre-attentive attributes? It's basically the different attributes that you could use in a visualization to seek more attention from a user. Okay. So that could be height, width, maybe shapes, colors, different forms in which you're using to just show out some insights. Okay, so since I have made this a lollipop chart, now you see that the bars are no longer with a greater width. It's very thin bars, and therefore it decreases the color which is there on the bar. Okay, and it also helps you get attention to these endpoints, so which is the total numbers for those states. The size of bar has been decreased, and now I'm using circles as a pre-attentive attribute. So here basically I've just used the dual axis feature. So on one which I have the bar, and on the other I've used the circle which you could get from the shapes, and I've just combined this two axes. Okay. After the teenage, now data visualization has gone into adulthood. So once it went into adulthood, it realized that it is better to keep things simple. So how I could have my visualizations very simple, but then still provide a lot of insights and provide value to the business. Okay. So here you see is a rounded bar chart. Now this rounded bar chart gives a very smooth look to your bar chart. It's a very good way to go with instead of those uh, bars that you have in squares, right? So always prefer smooth feel for your dashboards. Even with colors you look at, you don't choose those vibrant colors. You choose very smooth colors, maybe the matte finish colors, which gives a very smooth look to your dashboard. So now it just went on with the rounded bar chart, and it's still trying to find out the motto of his life, right? Uh, it's always in the adulthood you're trying to find out why am I even living, right? What's my motto? What I want to do in life? That's where um, it came up with all of these things. And now that's where the data visualization piece has come to a part where it's going beyond data, just data. Now we are coming to a part where we start highlighting insights and give more value or drive attention to what is important, right? So if you see in this chart, it is just the rounded bar chart that we had before. And what we have done is I've just used sequential diverging colors. Okay, so that goes from blue to gray, but then I've just distribute those values. So you see California is a dark blue versus New York gets a little lighter, and rest all becomes gray, which helps you understand how the sales is distributed across all of these states for that matter. And it also helps you understand the proportion of the sales, right? So California definitely has the highest sales, but it is a lot in proportion to other states, or also the distribution is very high coming from California. Okay. And that's where after the teenage and after the adulthood, it realized that the bottom to top approach is not going to work, and I'll have to switch to top to bottom approach, right? And that's where it came up with like no bottom to top, it's just the top to bottom. So I'm first going to understand my business, I'm going to understand what are their priorities, I'm just going to write down all the priorities of the business, and then I'll start thinking about what data do I have, and is my data going to help to answer those questions, right? So I'm not going to spend unnecessary time of cleaning the data even before understanding the business. Okay, so that's where we come to a piece like different audience would have a different story. So here you see is my bio on different social networking sites and my profile pictures on the same. So if you look at this, the bio is different on all of these three websites. The pictures are different. If you look at the LinkedIn profile picture, is a very decent picture versus Instagram or Facebook could become very vibrant, and I could have all of colors in there and also my bio. So what am I doing here is, first of all, I'm understanding the end user or the audience, right? So if I'm on LinkedIn, I'm not going to talk about my travel plans, I'm going to talk about my career, I'm going to talk about the jobs, I'm going to talk about data visualization, Tableau, and all sort of professional things that I'm good at, right? On Facebook or Instagram, I can talk about my travels. So understand your audience and design your story accordingly, right? So the data here is me, which is same for all of this, just the story differs. So now the visualization wanted to understand what the audience wants. Okay, so it went back to the stakeholder. What do you want? So then now that's where he started asking questions to stakeholder, and then stakeholder tells him that I just want to have a look at the top 5 states. So that was so simple, right? I was just playing around the bar chart, not really understanding what is the end goal of this. Now I know that I have to just show top 5 states. So that's where I've just highlighted the top 5 states, and the rest all remains gray, right? Maybe next requirement that comes is I just want to look at bottom 5 states. So all of this remains gray. The bottom 5 states become dark gray. Okay. Now, maybe I want to have both of this in one graph. So the top 5 states are showing as blue, and the bottom 5 states show as dark gray. So I've just used a calculated field to define the top 5 and bottom 5, and then I'm using that to color this different charts. Okay. Next is I don't stop there, right? When my stakeholder tells that he wants to just look at top 5 states, bottom 5 states, that's what I've given him. But I don't stop there. Maybe what more insight I could give him along with this. So now I've looked at sales, but what about profits? I've done a lot of sales here, but was that state as profitable as compared to the other states, which is also very important to look at, right? So sales versus profit. So now what I've done in this chart is, we already have the sales, which is the length of your bar, and I've used profit for size of the bar. So if you did not know, you could also have size for your bars. You could just pull some measure into the size. That's where you see the profit here. If you look at Washington and Texas, you see that Texas is making more sales than Washington, but the amount of profit that Washington is making is way higher than Texas, and that's how you could read this chart, and it gives the stakeholder the entire picture, right? I'm not just talking about sales, but I'm talking about a complete story there. Okay. That's where data visualization, or that kid understood the perfect balance in his life and went beyond routine, and that's where he started getting this good visualizations, right? So now here you see is I've tried to add a lot of elements. So in the um, last chart you could see the sales and profit, but you were not um, looking at the numbers for profit. So how I could fix it there in the best possible way, I'm also using color as attribute, and also a shape as attribute to give more attention to this. So you see those red down triangles which show that base stretch. these states were not profitable. That is, they have their profit margins which are negative. Okay, and this is again a calculated field that I've created, and I've just used those shapes in the calculated field itself. So you have those Unicode characters you could directly use in the calculated field, and I've just dragged that calculated field as a dimension on the Tableau dashboard. That's where you could end the journey of a bar chart, making it the most insightful one, uh, trying to show more than one measure and the comparison between those two measures. Okay, this could be one more way in which I could show the same information if I want to drag more attention, uh, where um, I have the sales in the length, I have the profit in the size of the bar, and the negative profits I'm using a red color, which helps me drag the user attention there. Okay. So that's how it grew up to be the best visualization ever. But even after becoming the best visualization, that visualization has to sit somewhere in the dashboard, right? You could not just randomly start putting the visuals in the dashboard and then think if that's the right flow to go. So this is one template you could think of while creating your dashboards. So majorly you have the home button on the top left, because that is the easiest to find there. You could have the title of your dashboard here, which could be in bold characters there. Also, the font for your title is always the biggest font that you would have in your dashboard. And then don't go for more font styles, just stick to two font styles maybe in your dashboard, where you could have one font style for your title and rest others could have one font style. Also, very important to have a data refresh date. So your data may be refreshing twice a day or maybe once a month. It is very important for the user to know which time stamp he's looking at, right? So always give the data refresh date. You could have a logo here of the company or the organization. Then you have the filter pane. So if it is just 3 to 4 filters that you want to have, you could have a filter pane right below the title. The main filters could come here, and the main filters or the major filters should not go beyond uh, 4 filters at least, right? And also a best practice to have a reset button, because the user always gets lost there. He tries to filter a lot of things, and now he wants to go back to the default mode. So you could just use a reset button functionality that would help him to do that. uh, some helpers, like any instructions which are needed to guide through the dashboard, or any FAQs or any sort of definitions, or how some measures are calculated. You could put all of that instructions in a document which could be attached here. You could also link to your SharePoint site where you give more information about all of this. Next is where you start putting your visualizations. Again, so when we say you have the primary filters here, if you have more than 5 filters, but you still want to have those filters, you could have a filter pane on the right side also. So this could be your secondary filters that you could use for the dashboard, or maybe the which Poonam showed, where you could just close the tab, right? You could use that for the filter pane also. And that's where you start your visualization. So you always have your KPI cards first, because those talk about summary, those talk about business and the trends in your business. So always keep your KPI cards on the top. Then you go from left to right, top to bottom, with the most important visual here. That's where the visualization on which the analysis will start, and then it drives on, right? So you could start from a category, then you could have a visualization for a subcategory, then you go to the product level, and then you go to the levels below that. Okay, and maybe the last thing you could have in a visualization could be a table which would give just the details about the filters that you have come up with, the action filters that you have come up with till end. Last, you conclude your dashboards with, contact us details, reach out details, or any additional details you want to add. But it's also a good practice to have that, so that it gives your dashboard a complete framework, and it looks like more of a website kind of feel or a website experience, and the user doesn't feel like he's browsing through a dashboard. That's how the experience could be really good. One piece of advice I'll give is say no to overloading. So this comes from Marketonist. You must have seen a lot of pictures from this person, Tom Fish. But then this is my very favorite one. So you don't create a dashboard which has everything and you put all of the stuff there. And now the business is sitting there and thinking on where do I get the insight from, right? What this chart is doing, what this chart is doing. So keep it very simple. uh, have a different dashboard for every different story. Break down your stories. Don't have everything in one. It's better to avoid those scrolling dashboards. It's better to fit everything in one screen. And when I say fit everything in one screen, reduce the number of things that you would want to show in one screen. So that was more from my side. Thank you for being a great audience. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn on this ID. You could just pinging if you have any questions or you need any assistance. But that was a great time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Komal. Thank you, Poonam. I
Thank you,
think
Santosh.
this is a great session. A lot of takeaways, right? So I see a lot of Q and A's, and I think you've answered some of them. But if you want to address some of them, which will help the larger audience benefit, then I think we should take that up.
Yep. I'll just look at the questions.
I think is you've answered what is blending, how is it different from cross join. Do you want to take that? I think Komal answered it, but Poonam, probably you would want to give your perspective as well. What is blending? How is
Yes.
it different from cross join?
Yeah. So when I say about blending and cross database join, is blending is each time you like Tableau retrieve the row, it try to join each and every records. So and cross database join is like your joining is being done, your record is being accumulated, and then it is being stored into your Tableau data engine, and you perform a like visualization on top of that. But when it comes to blending, each and every time you pull any records, the backend join will get uh, started, and it will start accumulating the records. And the major important thing is that if there is no one-to-one mapping, then blending will not give you all the records. It will give you a strict mark. So make sure when you are trying to do a blending, you have one-to-one mapping rather than one-to-many. And this won't be a case in cross database join.
Okay, thanks. I see some more questions, right? Jivan Krishna, blending on a simpler level is left out then. Okay, that is taken care of. Ashoka, will you be sending the link to recording? Yes, we will. You will get an email from us. It will be uploaded on YouTube. I think Komal, there's a question by Sai that says, "Please show how you are selecting color from image."
Yes, I could quickly show that.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is maybe you have just selected a picture on your Chrome, and or for any application that you could use. I'm just minimizing Tableau. This is our bar chart. So we have the color option here, right? I could just go to color, more colors, and here is your pick screen option. So now when I do pick screen, if you see, I can just go on a different screen. I could take color from this picture itself. I could pick this color, I could pick any of the color on the screen. So that is a good way where you could also pick colors from existing dashboard. Maybe you just want to have a theme from the dashboard which already exists. And that's how I got this color from the thank you sheet. Does that help?
Yep, I think that helps. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I think the next one is for Poonam, right? Abhijit says, I'd like to have a repeat on context filter. Uh,
Once
that
more.
that probably will be I don't think we have time for that. But Abhijit, I recommend you to reach out to Poonam on LinkedIn. Poonam, I hope you're okay with that.
Yep.
I see some more questions. Which ones are they? Why am I not able to see anymore? I think Shubham is asking, why did you mention LOD to be used carefully? Who was that? Who was
Uh,
Poonam? You, right?
let yeah. So I told you to make use of LOD and table calculation. It's like it's very heavy. So it will do the calculation based on the granularity which you have mentioned. So it's like every time you hit an LOD, it will go and hit your database and try to check for that particular granularity which you have mentioned, and then it will retrieve those records. And whereas on the table calculation, it will be applied on top of everything. So that's why I have told that you make use of LODs and table calculations very wisely.
Nice, nice. All right. So I think we've almost finished answering all the questions, unless if there's anyone else who has any questions. But before we end, right? Let's use the chat feature, since this is a Tableau um, lovers session, right? People who love Tableau, don't get me wrong. But I want you all to sort of also type in your favorite feature of Tableau, or a feature that you've used so frequently and has really helped you simplify your learning or communicating data, whatever, right? So please feel free to type that in. We'd be interested to know what is that one thing that you really like.
And Santosh, while other are typing their
Yeah.
answers, I will quickly add one more thing to it.
Sure.
To the performance. So every time you write your calculations and you want to see how it's performing, there is this option in the Tableau in help menu. Check check the help button and go with the start performance recording, and all the activities which you perform at the Tableau end, what all logic or what all calculation you do, all the things are being captured and all the performance are being captured, and you can just check which all heavy calculations or heavy logic you have written, and you can always go and simplify those things. So there is this performance tracking options available in Tableau. Make use of it and make use of it and try to simplify the logic which is taking longer time. You will see a query which gets executed, and it will be showed in that performance tracking report.
Nice. Thank you. Komal and Poonam, are you reading the chat comments?
Yeah.
So parameter and set actions, table calculations, parameters and sets. Chinmay, Nikita, Priya, thank you so much. Group and color. Um, Rohan says table calculations. Priyanka says parameter and set actions. Um, Kanchan likes compute calculation for extract. Nice. Priya, Komal, you're already inspiring Priya. Very nice.
That's good to know. How to get inside on animation, Bikram is saying. I think when we had this past feature in Tableau where animation was huge thing, you could get those in the page layout and then create animation. It used to take a lot of time, but since after 2020, animation is very straightforward and it's just very easy. But then again, very important to think on if you really need animation in the dashboard, because it is sometimes very distracting if it is just one element in your dashboard which is going through animation. Or even if we look at those COVID dashboards which have a lot of animations right now, so at the starting you'll see the trend is very slow, and you're still wondering if there is any animation happening, and at the end then you start seeing the spikes suddenly. So that's very important to think on the use case also when you're using animation, I would say.
Nice, thank you. All right, I don't think there are any other questions. Finally, I think our next session is going to be on 19th of March 2021. Right, so obviously open invitation to everyone. If you all want to present your experience and your knowledge on Tableau with the rest of us, please feel free to do so. Please reach out to me. You can reach out to Komal. You can reach out to Poonam. And we'll be happy to sort of hear what you have to say and take it forward, right? So before we disconnect, my last question is, what would you like to hear next, right? What session should what should we cover? What topics do you think would be important for all of us to understand and learn from each other? Komal and I think Poonam, you would want to share your LinkedIn ID or link.
Yeah, sure.
Building advanced charts. Okay, Vishal says building advanced charts. Okay. Chinmay wants a session on LOD calculations. All right. Data preparation, advanced charts, forecast, LOD actions, LODs. LOD seems to be getting a lot of traction. All right. So Krishna, data preparation, honestly, is slightly um, beyond Tableau. If you're probably just using data prep, then yeah, it makes sense. But we're going to focus a little more on the analysis part of things and less on data prep. Complex charts, Priya, yeah, we love complex charts on Tableau. And the possibilities are unlimited. I think Komal will agree, and
Yeah,
even
yeah.
right, you don't know. Shubham says, is it possible to analyze dashboards with slow performance and make them fast? Yeah, that was the first session, so I hope that helped. Yeah, so both Poonam and Komal have shared their LinkedIn profiles. Please feel free to connect with them. LOD calculation, building. So I think we'll look at all of this, and yeah, there's a lot of them want to discuss LOD, so we will do that. And do you want Abhijit says we have and can find ample sources on YouTube, various blogs by YouTube, Zenmaster creating various types of dashboard and charts, mostly, but there are hardly any comprehensive tutorials on Tableau functions solely. All right. So what functions would you want us to cover? I mean, if there's LOD, there's a lot of information on LOD as well. And yeah, I mean, if that's what we want to cover, we will definitely cover that next time. R&D case studies where Tableau is used, man, those are massive. I think both Komal and Poonam can share tons of information on that. Even I can, but yeah, there when used well, I think it's sometimes I feel Tableau is pretty underutilized. They try and just redo existing dashboards and not uh, use it to its full potential, where you can, like, if you notice what Komal said, right, it has to be, the experience has to be as seamless as possible. And you can really do that, you can achieve that sort of experience with Tableau. But yeah, there's a lot of heavy lifting that you've got to do at your end, sort of reduce the clutter and ensure that you don't have too many charts on there, and you are sort of helping the audience or the user on his journey, right, to help him prioritize what is to be visualized and all of that. So a lot of heavy lifting that you have to do as an author. But yeah, once you do that, I'm pretty sure it's you will enjoy it, right? So Komal, if you want to say a couple of things on what use cases uh, we can cover, maybe.
What I'll say, yes, definitely on that. One major thing I've always faced is how do we shift the audience who's coming from an Excel background, right? So we usually have this request where they have dashboards in Excel, and now we are shifting those dashboards to Tableau. But what they still want is those Excel reports. Like they want tables in Tableau, then that's not what Tableau is for, right? But even if how you could make those table better, so I think there are a lot of blogs going on that I've seen recently, also how you could make the best use of tables in Tableau, how you could beautify them, how you could give a lot of insights through that. So I think it's very important to be active in the Tableau community, follow this Zen masters, people who are constantly working on Tableau, trying to figure out things there, and the Tableau gallery that we have, right? So I have almost 150 workbooks which I've favorited in my from the Tableau public gallery, and like they are my go-to resource for anything. So there are a lot of workbooks around Tableau calculations, around designs, colors, and maybe those could act as bibles during the journey. So just it's just you have to explore there, I would say. It's like put some time, uh, everything is available, just find it and the right resource, and keep practicing, even if it's just a superstore data set that we have. But how many of us have actually digged in that data source and try to understand what insights we could get out of it, or it is just the plain things that everyone else is doing and we are just trying to replicate it? Maybe try that. So yeah.
All right. Finally, just a couple of questions for both of y'all. How do you think our attendees can improve their Tableau skills? What resources they should look at, and what blogs they should follow, or which Zen masters they should follow? What do you all do to keep yourselves abreast? Tableau is, I think, coming with or at least releasing a new feature every quarter, maybe. So how do you all sort of improve your skills as well?
So, first of all, if you are new to the Tableau, start exploring this community. Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesday. They do have a very cool, super cool data set for you, and many people build the dashboard out of it. So, if you are new, try to create a dashboards or something which you like of someone, and don't like, make sure that you uh, just give a mark to them that I have been inspired by this guy and this is what I have created from it. Once you started to replicate the things, and then you get a better idea that this is something which I have to implement when this type of data comes in, and this is something which you will start exploring more when you try to like uh, get into the hands on, rather than just looking at the stuff of others. Try exploring by yourself. That's how you will uh, be exploring more into the Tableau, and that's how you try to get expertise. It's like the practice make men perfect. So that's main mantra. You should always start practicing, do hands-on whatever thing you have. It I know, like even when I have started exploring the Tableau, I have prepared a very worst dashboard. Now when I look at them, I see that, oh, how worst I was making. But when I started exploring more and practicing more, that's how I start doing and exploring more custom charts also. So that's how you will see more of custom charts, and that's how you can grow.
Yes, practice is the key there, right? uh, I think initial 1 or 2 years are difficult, or you don't see a good curve in your growth with respect to Tableau, is what I feel. That's where you're just exploring the tool and visualization, right? And once that maybe you just cross that line, then you see a steep curve in your growth, because now you start understanding things and it becomes very easy to grab those things once you know the basics of the tool, because the tool is very easy. You just click somewhere, you'll find some feature, but at the beginning it's very overwhelming because it has a lot. So how do you get over those, and when do you use what? So my journey has been like, don't focus on the tool, rather focus on the process, focus on the end user, focus on the concepts. Like it's Tableau today, right? It will keep having its new features every month. Not always possible that we would, get along with it so quickly, but how do you understand what is needed out of the exercise, and then you can always Google and find out how to do that stuff. Maybe is the mantra there. But practice, 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 yes. And Poonam and I, like, we are colleagues. We work in the same organization. It has been a fun journey, and being in the same business use cases where um, major use cases are where we are struggling with the dashboard performance, and also bringing the business aligned with what we could give the best. Rather, business wants something very simple, but there is more value that you could give from Tableau. So aligning them to that is also one task.
All right. So I think I'll officially end it. I think Srinivas is the only one who has a question, but we'll answer. We'll take that in a bit, Srinivas. Just give me a second. But for the rest of y'all, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much. From all of us here, I would like to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And I will see you on 19th of March 2021. Same time, 3 to 5. Bye. Take care.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Srinivas. So I think you had a question. If you want to talk, you can feel free to just speak up. You'll have to unmute yourself though. Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Srinivas, worst case, if you have got their LinkedIn IDs, feel free to reach out to them, and I'm sure they are extremely helpful. Power women, right? So take care, guys.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Thank
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
spending your
Bye.
time and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
setting up this.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.